over that, just to run through the course objectives, the ultimate goal of this course is to create a brand that's relevant, impactful, and sustainable. You know, one that you don't have to run up and down, changing every day. Oh, there's this trend, there's this new platform. How do I see myself today? No, nothing like that. We're here to create something that's relevant, impactful, unique, and it's easy for you to sustain, right? And to do that, we'll be running through these other objectives, developing a personal brand manual. So you see that your workbook, that thing is gold. Hold it close to your chest because it's very, very important. It serves as your guide. You know, I've hyped it a lot in the emails. Hopefully you guys actually read my fine writing, you know, so you know that it's like your guide and it's like a manual, kind of like how you have a manual for a TV set or an Xbox or what's that other one? The popular one, not the Xbox, the other one. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The PlayStation, yes, that's what it's called. You know, or you have like a manual for your PlayStation or a phone or anything like that. Thank you, Seki, PlayStation. So yes, you know, that's what it's like. So the idea is that it's supposed to guide you, and that's why you should use it properly. So throughout this course, by the time we're done with this course, all of you will have your own unique personal brand manuals based on everything that we've discussed during the course. If I'm talking too fast, please let me know. I get like that sometimes. So one of the essence of this course is to make sure that you're able to create that. 2, to gain a clear understanding of the different platforms available. So some of us are familiar with so many of them. We'll say, oh, if I ask you now, you say LinkedIn, Instagram, Clubhouse. You know, you guys will go on and on. So there are different platforms available. So with this course, we're hoping that you can get the ones that are most relevant to you, are most useful to you, and you're able to kind of figure out how you can use them in your own way, right? Also establish clear boundaries. I'm very big on this because I don't think that our private lives should be jeopardized because we're trying to build personal brands. And that's why I was going back and forth. I was like, should I call this course a course for professional branding or should I call it a course for personal branding? But I'm like, oh, let's just stick to personal branding. That's what people understand. But in the end, I think even though it's called a personal branding course, or you're trying to build a personal brand, it doesn't mean that your entire life should be out in the open. That's not the idea. So one of the things that we're trying to establish with this course as well is clear boundaries, right? So you don't disrespect the privacy of your loved ones or create situations that you regret in the future. I must have seen those tabloids or those articles where they went to dig out something somebody wrote like ages ago when he wasn't thinking, right? Or when he was thinking, oh, it's not a big deal. And then he became the governor and, oh my God, they just want to bring it out. So I don't want you guys to be like that. And that's why we'll also learn how to establish clear boundaries in this course. And the last thing is to have an understanding of who your target audience is. Because I think one of the most stressful things when it comes to building a personal brand is when you're trying to spread yourself thin. Only you're talking to the policymaker. Only you're writing letter to the president. Only you're giving direction in your office. Only you know, no. You don't need to talk about every focus area, even if you're knowledgeable in every one of them. And you don't need to try to talk to every single person. So one of the other things that we want to do with this course is to make sure that you have a clear understanding of who your target audience is, right? Moving on. My question for you now is, and you guys have to engage. You have to, I love it when people, you know, people are talking, so I'm not just talking to myself, which is absolutely weird, but I do it sometimes. Sure. Anyway, so the first thing I want to ask you guys is that, do you have a personal brand? So just put it in the chat box. Do you have a personal brand? Yes or no? I'm waiting. Remember, we have 1 hour. So do you have a personal brand? I'm asking Mazida, Fikon Ayo, Yusuf, Hanif, Ayotunde, Seki, and everybody else. So do you have a personal brand? Just put it in the chat box. Yes, no. If you're not sure, right today. If you feel sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, put it there as well. So let's just see. Well, kinda. Okay, interesting. Well, I think I might. Maz. Okay, anybody else? So I have an identity, not a personal brand. Okay. All right, Mr. Yusuf. Anybody else? So do you think you have a personal brand? All right, this is one of those situations where, well, I'm not going to say there's no right or wrong answer because there is a right answer. Just put it out there. I think I do. Okay, anybody else? What do you think? Do you have a personal brand? Do you not have a personal brand? If you've attended all my taster courses, by the way, you're banned from answering this question, even though some of you have already answered, but it doesn't matter. So, do you have a personal brand? Yes or no? A little bit. Okay, Fikwayo. Okay, we have more than enough people to, I think. Okay, I think I do. Okay, awesome. So we're going to start off with our first video, which will answer this. I have a disclaimer. You don't have to do everything the guy says in the video. Not that I am aware of, Hanif. Okay, that's very interesting. I love that. Not that I am aware of. Okay, great. So, sorry. So we're going to start off with this first video. Like I said, disclaimer, you don't have to do everything the guy says, but there's some relevant information that I think you'll find helpful. So once I start playing, let me know if you can hear the sound. Can you hear the sound? Sorry.
No.
No, okay. Let me share my sound. Share sound. Okay.
Whether you realize it or not, you have a personal brand. If I looked you up on Google and didn't find anything about you on the first page of results, that's your personal brand. If I found an out-of-date LinkedIn profile or a bunch of random social media posts, that too is your personal brand. People tend to think about a personal brand as bragging, self-promotion, and all about yourself. But it's actually something much more important. It's your reputation. In other words, it's how people perceive you, your friends, colleagues, or the general public. And it's what people think about you when they hear your name, as well as what about you when you're not in the room. In our connected world, every single one of us has a personal brand, whether we like it or not. This is because whenever we engage with people both in person and online, that's every interaction or everything we post, upload, or comment on, we're creating a reputational narrative about ourselves. Your reputation is already out there. The question is, do you want to be the one who's driving and shaping this story, or do you want chance or algorithms to be doing it for you? I think most people would agree that they want to take control. And what this means is we need to make some very intentional decisions so our brand stays in our hands. Let me walk you through 5 key steps to building a strong personal brand in a way that feels good. First, you need to figure out what your goal is. Let's start by answering a foundational question. What do you want your personal brand to help you accomplish? Are you looking to change jobs or transition into a new industry and you need your brand to reflect a new skill set? Maybe you're looking to get a promotion at your current organization and you need everyone to know all the amazing things that you've accomplished in your career. Or maybe you're launching a new business and you want to build your brand around the products or services that you're offering. Whatever your goal is, write it down and make it specific so that you're working towards a clear outcome. Next, you'll want to get clear on what you want to be known for. In other words, how do you want people to describe you as a professional? Start by answering the question, so what do you do? And I'm not just talking about your job title. Are you a teacher who focuses on social and emotional learning? Or maybe you're a project manager who is reliable and always gets things done on time. Be an artist who makes beautiful ceramic pots from natural materials. What you want to do is dig deeper into the what, how, and why behind your work so you can make it concrete and easy to remember. Just make sure to lead with something that doesn't cause confusion. For example, I once coached someone who called herself a death midwife, which no one understood. But when she started introducing herself as a grief counselor who works with families during a time of loss, all of a sudden, everyone got it. If you're stumped, think about how you can stand out from the crowd in your industry. What are the things that make you unique? Are there specific talents and expertise that you've acquired in your career? What do you know more about than most people? Sit down and make a list, and you might start to surprise yourself about all the things you know. Now, let's think about the audience you want to share your personal brand with. The reality is, your personal brand is not about you. It's about the people you want to educate with the skills, knowledge, and value you can provide. Who you decide to focus on should be based on 2 things: the goal of your personal brand and the people who can best benefit from your unique talents and skills. So spend some time thinking about these 2 questions. Who can most gain from what you have to share? And how exactly can you see yourself helping them? Here's where it all starts to come together. Let's pull all your answers into a single mission statement that describes who you are, what you do, who you do it for, and the transformation you can create in people's lives. Let's take the example of the teacher. My name is Alma, and I'm a 3rd grade teacher who specializes in social and emotional learning. I work with students to teach them the skills for fostering empathy and compassion so they can thrive and contribute to a more caring world. Let's take the project manager. My name is Jennifer, and I'm a project manager for a sustainable fashion company. I work with teams across different departments to plan, organize, and direct innovative marketing campaigns that engage customers while also increasing brand loyalty. Mission statements are going to look wildly different depending on who you are in your career. But whatever your mission statement is, write it down and put it somewhere prominent. You can use it to make decisions about how you speak about yourself when you first meet someone to the communities you want to share it with. Let's start building your personal brand online. There are two key personal branding assets you should think about developing: a personal website and social media. What's so important about a personal website is that it allows you to take full control over your online reputation. It offers the most flexibility in sharing your brand and value to others in a much deeper way than a resume or LinkedIn profile. People want to work with others they like, know, and trust, and your personal website provides you an opportunity to share more about your personality through photos, as well as more about your career and life story. This, in turn, will differentiate you from others in your industry. Social media is also a great way to share your personal brand with the audience you're looking to connect with. However, I suggest trying not to be on every platform. Pick one that aligns with your goals, as well as where your audience spends most of its time. If you're an artist or creative, Instagram is a great fit. If you work in a more corporate environment, LinkedIn is the place you want to be. When posting, focus on being helpful to others. Share interesting articles relevant to your industry, post ideas or opinions that can benefit colleagues, and like or comment on posts shared by the people you follow. The key is to always engage in a way that both reinforces your personal brand while also bringing value to others. Look, I know this may all sound a bit intimidating, but try to think of this branding process as an opportunity for personal growth. It's your chance to dig deeper into who you truly are and who you want to become. This, in turn, will provide you the clarity you need on how you can make your greatest impact in the world.
So,
whether you realize it or not.
So my question again is, do you feel like you have a personal brand now? Everybody who said, oh, I'm not sure, I think so, I'm not, do you feel like you have a personal brand now? Yes or no? You know, what I find interesting is what's most confusing about that question is I feel like a lot of times people are focused on the bit about personal branding that has to do with their online presence. So once they're not on LinkedIn or they're not on Instagram or they're not active on Twitter or X, they believe that, oh, I don't have a personal brand. But in reality, it's actually just like you said, the coming together of, who you are, whether it is in your office or in your family club or in your society or whatever, so it's more than your online footprint. It's actually both of them together. Let's see, Saki saying, love this point, when posting, focus on being helpful to others. Absolutely. Because I think one of the reasons, one of the ways people get it wrong is that they're so focused about themselves. And that's why they tell you about all the lessons they learned from going to go and buy coffee in the store. And then they tell you about when they saw that movie and it just showed how they were such a person that's filled with so much compassion. All those things and all those plenty chatter, a lot of times is as a result of being so self-centered and so self-focused that you don't remember anybody else. You just think it's all about you, and it starts and ends with you, right? So I ask again, does everybody feel like they have a personal brand now? Even if you're not taking control of it, it's okay. Just say whether you feel like you have a personal brand now or not. So Ayotunde, do you feel like you have a personal brand now? Or do you think, okay, I have. Sagi says she has. I'll say yes. Okay, awesome. The truth is, we all have, every single person on this call, including myself, we all have a personal brand. Whether we've decided, Mazida says yes, but I haven't taken control. Whether we decide to take control or not, we all have a personal brand, right? So now let's go into what a personal brand is. And let me minimize this thing because I'm seeing myself hide. So a personal brand is your story, basically. It communicates the talents and values you represent to your customers, colleagues, and other professionals. It is the culmination of what you do and what you stand for. It exists not only in your online presence, but also offline as well. So you see, even if we're just thinking about our offices, who we are in our offices or who we are in our workplaces, it's still part of our personal brand. There's no separate, when I'm online, I'm this person. When I'm offline, I'm this different person. No, you are who you are, and it's part of your personal brand. Now, a few other things I found interesting in trying to really figure out what personal branding is, the truth is everyone has a reputation. The first impressions you make, the relationship you form with managers and peers, and how you communicate, all these things impact how others see you. And until you've lost your reputation, you never realize the true value of good branding. I mean, I usually try not to have a good laugh when I see all these companies when they have major PR issues, like when we had that whole toxic boss issue last year, and everybody was running up and down, trying to clean up their images, trying to write this to the press, trying to start doing work from home, trying to start doing vacations in the office. I'm like, look, all these issues started because even you, what are the values that you hold dear? How have you operated with your colleagues? How have you managed them? What kind of person are you? Are you truly, beyond all the fancy statements and the things that maybe you hire Dara or some fancy consultant to write for you? Who are you, behind the scenes and, like beyond your title? And I wasn't trying to drop a punchline there. I just had to put that in, and I like that. I also like this that says personal branding is less a marketing exercise than it is becoming the best person you can be. So I feel like when it comes to personal branding, we always quickly run to execution. How do I write this thing and make it look so fancy? How do I write this? But we don't ever think about improving our character, being true to our values, truly trying to improve ourselves. Like you see people that, yes, they did some work. It was relevant like 20 years ago. Now new things have come. Technology has improved. Things have moved on. But you're still claiming the same glory of like 20 years ago. Have you actually upskilled? Have you tried to make yourself better? Are you still like worthy of that title? Or you're just in one place and claiming like old glory? So I think a lot of times, and please guys, I'm not addressing everybody. This is me. A lot of times we run to execution, whereas there's so much that we have to do regarding the person before we even start to talk about the brand, right? So also, I love this from Dr. Mansour that says it's more than your current job title. It's long-term. It's not tied to a current role or organization. Your personal brand must be independent of any organization. If you allow your worth to be determined by the job you have, you suddenly become worthless when you do not have a job. And this happens all the time. All the time. You see so many people, either in government roles, either in big roles, they finish that role like this and it's over because they built everything they had around a certain organization or a certain title. And they left that title and it was just like, who am I again? And then they go on this whole discovery journey of even trying to figure out who they are in the first place. It's really crazy. So why have I called this course a personal branding course for impact? Because we must have listened from what that guy has said. For me, it goes beyond even just the things that we put out for me, it's actually the footprints, it's those footprints that we're trying to leave in the sands of time. That's the truth. Because the way we act, the things that we do, they all have a long-term impact on people. So for example, you're somebody's manager and you're the worst manager on earth, the impacts that you have on that person will be grave, right? From the person's self-confidence to the person even becoming a mini monster like you were. There's so many things that go beyond, I'm just writing something, I'm just putting things out there. So for me, when we think about our personal brand, we also have to think about the impact we have on ourselves, the impact we have on people, the impacts that we have on larger society. It's so important. And that's why I have these three things here. When we're talking about impact, what should come to mind? One, the impact we have on people. Very, very important. Secondly, the impacts that we have on our hearts. So if we do our personal branding just because we want to feel good, or we want to feel great, or we want to have this larger than life ego, trust me, you're doing it wrong. That's not why we're here, right? If it's something that you finish and you just begin to feel this level of pride or arrogance, or you're walking up and, super high shoulder pads, then you're doing the wrong thing. Because you must always ask that as you leave these footprints, what's the impact that they have on your heart, which is very important in shaping who you are as a human being. Then the last thing is, we have to think about personal brands in the sense that, are they positive or are they negative? I always laugh when people hit like 45 or 40 or 50 and they start saying that it's time. We need to build a legacy. Now we need to think about how we're going to write that new book. We need to think about how we need to treat people differently. Oh my God, we need to go and launch this big football field or this big tennis court. And I'm like, why do people only remember those things when they're 40 or 50? When you're 40, 50, or when they say life becomes at 40, starts at 40, at least 50. I don't even know. I'm not any of those ages, so I don't know yet. But anyway, I think it's life starts at 40 or something like that. Then people just wake up and they want to become new people. But I ask that this legacy that you want to create, Shouldn't you have started creating it when you were 20 or 30? In fact, you have started creating it. You just didn't know. So we always have to ask ourselves that as we're building this brand, which we can all agree is an expression of who we are, we have to be considerate of whether it leaves a positive impact or a negative impact on people. And, you know, we'll talk a lot about this when we get into our content. Oh my God, there's this thing I want to share with you guys. But anyway, when we get there, as in about, you know, the impact of the things that we do, the impact of the things that we write. I mean, for God's sake, a lot of times when people come with either it's a policy change or they build this new thing or they start this new thing, we have to understand that these things are as a result of things that they've seen somewhere, right? Either as a result of something that they watched, somebody that they spoke to, some things that they picked up somewhere. So my point is, whenever we're expressing our personal brands, you know, let's not always be all those people that, oh, I'm just going to write it. I don't care what people are going to say. No, you have to care. Those things have they have an impact on people. This thing is real. So we have to ask ourselves, are we making a positive impact or are we making a negative impact? Are we all following me? I need to make sure that all of you are here. And if I'm not eating Sunday jollof rice and just listening to me with half ear. But, you know, the point is, we always have to ask ourselves that, is this having a negative or a positive impact on people? It's very, very important. Now, the next thing is, what are the benefits of building a personal brand, right? First of all, it gives us an opportunity to showcase our values. And don't worry, guys, when you get the slides, it will be less texty. This is for my benefit. It's an opportunity for us to showcase our values. Good to know you guys are following me. Thank you. It allows you to express your core beliefs and principles to the world. By defining and communicating your values, you attract others who share your outlook and interest. I find it really interesting when people just come and say, oh, I live in such a corrupt society. Or people say, oh, I don't like the way community is shaping. I don't like, you know. But I say that you're just in your corner now. You're not doing anything but complaining. The truth is, if we take this opportunity to build our personal brand and we're a little forward facing or front facing, irrespective of the way we choose to express it, it helps us to showcase our values. Okay, we think the society is corrupt. We think that this person is not doing it well. Okay, what is the way to do it? How do we know those things if we don't see examples of people who are doing it, right? Then it also gives us an opportunity to move beyond autopilot, you know. Instead, it turns us into people who are people of introspection, right? Who, you know, it prompts us to evaluate what our goals and aspirations are and the impacts that we want to make. If we have this, and I know that impact is a word that's so overused. I'm so sorry I have to use it. There's no other way to explain it. But the thing about building a personal brand for impact is that it makes you very intentional, right? It makes you intentional in what you do. It gives you clarity. It gives you direction. You're not trying to follow every Tom, Dick, and Harry because you are clear on your path and you're clear on the impact that you want to make. The next thing is that it helps you to establish a very fine track record. If there's one thing that I have noticed from the speaking engagements or the taster courses that I have done for this, is people always have this question of, oh, but now I'm in like level 3, or I'm in like level 4, and I just feel like I'm not being appreciated in my industry, or I'm not being appreciated in my office, or I'm not being appreciated amongst my colleagues or stuff like that. And I'm like, the good thing about a personal brand is that it helps you to keep a track record of your growth and achievements. Now, if we take this in a typical workplace setting, people only remember how much work they've done when they realize that they've been skipped over for promotion like 10, 15 times. That's when people remember that, oh my God, or somebody comes and says that you've been in this office for 5 years and they've not moved you up the ladder. You're like, oh my God, that's true. Then you start trying to dig up things that you did like 10 years ago, you know, and it's like, oh, it's still just everybody has moved on. I think one of the greatest advantages of building a personal brand is that it helps you to keep a track record of what you have done. And this track record is not just for you to get a promotion. This track record is not just for you to get funding from investors. This track record is not just for you to help, not just for you to win a new client. It's also to serve as a reference point for you for reflection. On this journey, we must be people of introspection and reflection. We must always go back and say, okay, I wrote this thing. Is this still relevant? Does it make sense? Is it harmful or is it beneficial? Right? So the good thing about building a personal brand for impact is that it puts you in this mindset where you're always reviewing and you're always revisiting and you're always evaluating your journey, right? So that way you can identify areas for improvement and you can reshape your brand as needed. So you've noticed that I've not said anything about, oh, you have to be the loudest person in the room, or you must be the hype man of the century, or you must be the one who is in line with trends. No. This is about originality. This is about authenticity. This is about creating something that's valuable, right? Now, the last thing is accountability and integrity. The truth is, when you have a well-crafted personal brand that actually makes sense, that sits on good foundations, it holds you accountable, right? And I'm so tempted to quote a hadith here, but anyway, it holds you accountable. Before other people hold you into account, you've already held yourself into account. And I think that it's really important because it helps you to maintain integrity in your words and your actions. Even you know, okay, I've written out, this is the kind of person I am. This is the kind of person I want to be. These are the kind of things I want to put out. Every day as you are putting these things out, if they are not consistent, if you're a true person, you come back and ask yourself that, all these things that I declared publicly, is it about me? Is it true to me rather? Or am I just really talking about somebody else that doesn't quite look like me, right? So in the end, by publicly declaring who you are authentically, right, and what you stand for, you are motivated to actually live up to it, but don't lie. So by living up to it, I'm not saying you should lie, don't lie. Remember, we say that it has to be based on your values, it has to be based on authenticity, the things you truly know, and not the things that you just go and Google and you're like, oh, this looks cool, let me talk about it. No, that's not what we're talking about here, right? If everybody understands that, the next thing is, why do we want to build, why personal branding for impact is important, right? So really, what are the different components of building a personal brand that's really important? I am one of those people who don't believe that you have to be always on. I'm very big on breaks and moments of rest. So you see all this thing about, oh, this movie just came out, you need to talk about it. I don't consider it to be necessary. Or, oh, this platform is shutting down, you have to be the first person to write a post on it. I don't consider it necessary at all. Or, oh, you're 30 now. If you're 30, you must have written a book by now. Why the pressure? So I believe that everybody needs breaks and moments of rest. And I think that being transparent about your own well-being and taking breaks when necessary also demonstrates your authenticity and, you know, really helps you to build a personal brand that is relevant. Another thing about personal for impact is that it's others focused. And I feel like that guy in the video really explained that in detail. You know, I think that it's very important for us to change the status quo. I know a lot of people build personal brands that are only focused on them. It's them and nobody else. And those things have so many disadvantages. Trust me, as someone who has been an entrepreneur and an intrapreneur and a full-time worker, you know, I'm always just moving in between those different modes based on my mood and time period in life. I found out that building a personal brand that's focused on you, that's me, is actually one of the most destructive things that you can do for yourself. I kid you not. If anybody has experience with this, you can agree or disagree if you think that I'm wrong. First of all, in the workplace, you find out that you have an entire team, but nobody trusts in your team. The only person they trust is you, because you've made it about you. So the minute you're not there, it's like, oh my God, all hell has broken loose. The same thing if you're running an organization and you make it look like you're the only one, you're the best thing after sliced bread. Once you're not around, the organization is just you, and the team is almost non-existent. Despite the fact that all of you are doing the work behind the scenes. You find out that when it's time for you to go on vacation, or it's time for you to go on a sabbatical, or you just want to even take a break from a tiny project, your clients will start having major issues with you. If you're in consulting or any of these things, you understand what I'm saying. It's a problem. Like, you just find the clients keep kicking back. They don't want to work with anybody but you, because you built the entire thing around yourself. And it feels like, oh, once Dara is not here, this work cannot be great. So I think that another thing that is really obvious as well and is essential to building a personal brand for impact is that it should recognize and credit the contribution of your team members. It really should. It's not just about taking all the glory for yourself, but acknowledging the hard work that those around you, have put in to make this project what it has become. So with personal branding for impact, we're expecting that, you know, it fosters a collaborative and supportive environment, you know, where everybody can attain this level of success together. And it's more fulfilling. It's not just me. I woke up and I helped 1 million children get into school. How did you do that alone? That project must have been included a creative director, finance manager, a HR person, a project manager, an administrator. So why are you now going and making it look like you did the work alone? My point is, let's be others focused, right? And then sustainability. Building a sustainable personal brand is one that endures beyond the transient nature of social media trends. So as we're creating and as we are writing and as we are producing and as we are recording and as we are building and as we are speaking, we're prioritizing long-term growth and relevance. So it's about, like I said, it's a long-term game. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So you're not just thinking of the now, you're thinking of the forever. Right? And as you build all these things, they're like building blocks to where you're eventually going. So I think that that's very important. And we've already spoken about authenticity, being genuine and true to yourself, and how this allows the audience to connect to you on a deeper level. And as we go into the content and our privacy and controls later on in the class, I'll explain that this does not mean that you should tell us what you have for breakfast and where you went on vacation and the kind of color that you are most attracted to. That's not what I mean about authenticity. It's about being genuine and true, but it doesn't mean that you're also sharing your family secrets. We have to draw the line, right? And it's also, like built on your core values and your beliefs, right? So now, is everybody following me? I hope everybody understands. If you have any questions or anything that you feel like is unclear in everything that I've said, please just note it down. I will make sure that I will take all the questions at the end, okay? So now, one of the first things that we need to do as we begin this journey, I told you that today we're going to be setting the foundation for building a personal brand, because the foundation is important. As we know, if we don't have a solid foundation, everything else will just come crashing down with time. So it's important that we build that foundation. The very first thing that we need to do is a personal assessment.